Today is March 29th, 2023. The time is 12:19 p.m. The purpose of this interview is in relation to Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office Professional Standards Case I-2023-008. The location of the interview is the Professional Standards Bureau office located at 2008 East 8th Avenue in Tampa, Florida 33605. Present at the interview is myself, Master Detective Belinda Denby, ABN 144216. And ma'am, can you please state your rank, name, and ABN?
Corporal Desirae Krouse, 199236.
And can you spell your first and last name for me, please?
My first name is Desirae, Desirae. My last name is Krouse, Krouse.
And are you aware that this interview is being audio recorded?
I am.
Have you read, signed, and do you fully understand the perjury affidavit and confidentiality notice?
Yes.
Have you read, signed, and do you fully understand the Administrative Proceedings Employee Rights form that I presented to you prior to this interview?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about any of the forms?
No.
Did you have the opportunity to review all of the documents and evidence related to this investigation?
Yes.
Do you need any additional time?
No.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity to read and review the rules and regulations violations we're here to discuss, including the 2 additional rule violations I presented to you this morning?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, as a law enforcement officer and a notary in the state of Florida, I'm going to place you under oath. If you could please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Thank you. You can put your hand down and you can sign the bottom of the perjury affidavit. That's going to require your signature, ABN, date, and time. Let me know when you're ready for the time.
Time?
12:21. And I'll take that from you. Thank you. Corporal, how long have you been employed with the Sheriff's Office?
17 years.
Okay. And where are you currently assigned?
To the District 4 General Investigations Unit.
Okay. And prior to this, prior to your review actually this morning, you provided me with some documentation and also an audio recording. To summarize, the audio recording was of the hearing last night regarding the citation that was written in reference to this case, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And is that a recording that you took yourself?
I did with my agency issued recording device.
Okay. And then the documents that you provided, there's 2 separate packets, for lack of a better term. One of them begins with FLH SMV paperwork regarding Spiros Konstantinos Pazes. It goes into his David queries. There's 2 black and white images that appear to be from the streetcar camera. There's an affidavit of witness to traffic citation signed by Margaret O'Neill and another signed by Dolores Conyer. There's Hillsborough Transit Authority public records documents. Court notification system and a subpoena regarding the trial or hearing. And then there's other information regarding the court case. A picture of Mr. Paz's David photo and corresponding David information. And then a copy of the traffic citation.
Yes.
Okay, and the other packet is an email chain that looks like it began April 2nd of 2021 and ended looks like it began March 21st or March 29th, of 21 and ended April 2nd of 21. And this is regarding body camera requests that you submitted. Is that correct?
Yes, and there should be a memorandum in there, a copy of the memorandum.
Yes, there there's the memorandum there. The memorandum is dated March 30th, 2021 to Colonel Kyle Robinson from Detective Desirae Krouse at that time.
Yes.
Okay, got it. So I will include this with your file.
Thank you.
And I understand that you were working off-duty at the Port of Tampa near the aquarium on January 21st of 23. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What were your duties and responsibilities for that job?
That day I was assigned to the mouth, which is the end of the driveway by the trolley tracks, and my duties are public safety and traffic control.
Okay. I understand you interacted with Mr. Spiros Pazes, who was driving what appeared to me to be a dark gray SUV with several occupants that morning. Can you please describe everything that happened?
Yes, Deputy Neiman and I were assigned to the mouth. That's a closed-off entrance to Port Terminal 2. On the other side of that driveway is the front of the Florida Aquarium. The ship that was in that day was the Royal Caribbean Brilliance of the Seas. We closed that road off while debarkation is going on so that everyone can get out before we start allowing cars to go in. If cars need to come in, they would stop at the median, speak with the deputy out there. That deputy would then convey to us that they have a need to come in there. Oftentimes cars try to just drive up on the tracks, try to drive through the cones, which is why we have a deputy out there to stop them. That day, the first time I observed the vehicle was when they were coming across the roadway, crossing the opposite path of traffic, but there was a trolley coming. And when the trolley comes, we can always hear it coming, and they start sounding the horn. This is a busy time because a lot of people don't see the trolley coming. So there's two crosswalks. There's a main one that has two deputies that man it. Their job is to make sure nobody is on the tracks, to make sure they're backed up. When the trolley comes, we all start loudly saying, trolley, trolley, so everyone knows there's a trolley coming and to stay off the tracks. At this point, the trolley was coming, and this Honda Pilot was coming across the roadway, which myself, Deputy Neiman, and Deputy Antonitis was there also, began putting our hands up and yelling, stop, stop, stop. The driver of the vehicle, later identified as Mr. Pazes, he looked directly at me as I'm saying stop, stop, and he's not stopping. He's continuing to drive towards me, and I'm thinking he must not see the trolley. So we start pointing to the trolley, like stop, and I'm walking towards him. The trolley's slowing down, but they're hitting their horn, and he's not stopping. So it wasn't until I stepped out into the trolley track that he finally stopped. And we've given several loud verbal commands to stop, and I don't know why he wasn't. The trolley passed, the vehicle then pulled up and stopped on the tracks. If I need to slow down.
No, you're fine.
You just tell me. Okay.
You're fine.
The driver had the window down, and myself, Deputy Neiman, and Deputy Antonitis were like, what were you doing? And he immediately started with, I didn't see it! You don't have to be rude! And they said, you didn't see us telling you stop several times? You continued to go. I mean, and this is stressful, and I think it scared him when he did see the trolley there and hit his brakes quick, because then he realized it just wasn't us telling him to stop. There was a legitimate reason. But now he's upset. And let me back up to say there were 2 ships in port that day. There's construction down there. It is not an easy area to navigate. We don't control that. The city of Tampa does. The aquarium parking is confusing to get into. It's related to Terminal 3. There's also aquarium parking in the parking garage. Most people think you can just pull into the aquarium and park there. So I don't know what they had dealt with prior to coming into contact with me, but the driver already seemed like he was irritated, aggressive, and now this happened. And I'm like, maybe he was distracted. There were a lot of people in his car. But I told him, you have passengers in the car, there's passengers on the trolley. And he continued to yell, you don't need to be rude to me. I said, okay, then we're done with us. Get off the tracks. So I pointed for him to go. So he drove off the tracks because I can't have him sitting on the tracks. So Deputy Neiman stayed there to work traffic, and myself and Deputy Antonitis walked over to address him. I have written hundreds of traffic citations in my career in my 17 years. I'm thoroughly trained in it. I have participated in every single traffic grant we work. I was assigned to a traffic unit a few years ago. If I ever have to encounter anybody to discuss a driving issue, I know that there's a Florida state statute that they have violated. If somebody's receptive to me telling them that they messed up and we can educate them and they don't do it again, that's fine. I'll give them a verbal warning. If they are not receptive, then I issue a citation and we'll be done with the whole interaction. So he had stopped. He didn't even stop like in front of the aquarium. He just pulled up and stopped, and they opened the back hatch to the Honda Pilot. At which point, as I walked over, Deputy Scott Trey Carton and Todd Farrell, they were working where the driveway turns into the terminal, which is a busy area for them too, but it's a good distance away from where Deputy Neiman and I were at. So the car stopped over by them. I saw that Deputy Trey Carton stayed with where he was doing by the terminal entrance, and Deputy Farrell came over with me, I think to act as a backup unit, see what's going on. Deputy Antonitis came with us, but he was standing behind me somewhere, so I knew he was there somewhere. And there's a lot of traffic, a lot of people. So I approached the driver, Mr. Pezos, and I said, I need your driver's license. He ignored me and turned from me and said, you don't have a reason to ask for my license. I said, yes, I do. I need your driver's license. Now his wife, I think her name was Maria, she approached me and she got in between him and I as he was walking around the car, and she said, "We're just trying to go to the birthday party. We're just trying to go to the birthday party." And I could see she was trying to minimize the situation on his behalf and to make all of this go away. And I said, "Okay." Well, I walked around to the vehicle because he was on the passenger side, and he was opening the door, and he was standing there very stone-faced and not giving me his driver's license. I said, I've asked you several times for your driver's license. You're borderline obstructing now. I need your driver's license. He said, and he's getting his phone out. He says, obstruction is a secondary offense and you don't have a primary one. I said, yes, I do. The traffic violation is the primary one. Please, for the 5th time, can I have your driver's license? So he had a cell phone that had like a wallet case, and he had opened it and he pulled his driver's license out, and he was holding it between his 2 fingers along with the phone holding it up, and he had opened the door and he said, I'm trying to get her out. And I noticed in the back seat there was an elderly, large, disabled woman who was laying across the seat and trying to get her feet to come out. And I said, oh, by all means, dear, go ahead, get her whatever she needs so she can get out. This isn't a time constraint. I'm not in a hurry here. I said, do you have the registration to the vehicle? He said, no. I said, can I have the registration to the vehicle? No. Is this your vehicle? No. So I have his driver's license. I said, okay. So the back of the hatch was open, so I couldn't get to the tag. And I walked around the front of the car, and I went and looked at the VIN, make sure that was clear and I could see it. And then I walked to the back of the car and I waited for them to close the tailgate. And then I got the tag number off of there. And I told Deputy Farrell, I said, stay here with him, I'll be right back. So then I went over to my car, and that's where my computer was at and my printer. I didn't even have a notepad on me. And let me back up. Because when I started asking for his license, he started asking me if my camera was on. And I said, no, it's not. And he said, you need to get a supervisor here. And I said, well, I am a supervisor, but we're addressing this traffic violation right now. So he kept trying to deflect into the body camera and into demanding a supervisor respond to the scene. Again, 17 years, 12 years in patrol, I have dealt with a lot of people that when they don't get their way, they demand a supervisor. We don't just call another supervisor to come to the scene for a traffic violation. And I had other witnesses, and I believe Deputy Antonitis was behind me somewhere. So we handle getting the license, and I go to the car. And I open mobile forms, and I'm getting the quick reference guide out. I'm looking at the Florida state statutes. And I remember I saw, obviously we have the violation of right of way, and I saw one that was criminal, and it was like failure to obey police commands. And I was like, well, that's the most appropriate one, but I said, that's petty. Let's just cite them for the moving violation, and we'll be done with it. And that time, Deputy Antonitis called me. He said, hey, where are you at? I said, well, I'm over at my car. We park our cars up on, it's like I guess a raised median in the middle of this round driveway. I'm usually the first one there in the morning, so I was parked up front, and there were and I'm in an unmarked car. There were marked cars around me. So he came over to see me. He's like, hey, what's going on with this guy? I hear he's calling like for a supervisor. At that time, Lieutenant Howard Wooden was the supervisor over that job who coordinated it. He said, we can just let Lieutenant Wooden know, and he'll take care of it if this guy makes a complaint. I said, I'm fine with whoever handles the complaint. He can call the sheriff's office if he wants to complain. I said, but I am issuing him a citation because there was a violation and he's being hostile. I'm going to give this to him and get him out of here. He's like, okay, no problem. So I typed it up, and I ran his David, and I checked his driving history. He's born in 1959. He's my mother's age. People this age don't usually get traffic citations. They don't behave this way. And I was thinking, why is he so aggressive and so hostile with everybody? This is ridiculous. Let's just be done, not be petty, not add other stuff on. So I walked back over with the citation, and he was there, and I had his driver's license. And at this point, he's got his phone up again, and he's putting it right in my face. I'm like, okay. I said, I'm issuing a citation for a violation of the right-of-way of a public transit vehicle. This is a moving violation. It'll be 3 points on your license, and the fine, I think, was $163. Now I'm trying to talk, and he's like, is your body cam on? Why not? And I'm like, no, it's not. And I don't know if I don't even know if I told him I don't even know if I gave him a reason if I said it's federal property. I don't remember. But I wasn't going to deflect onto this. I was going to be done with this and get it done. And I remember I messed up my spiel of explaining, because usually I say it's moving violation, so many points on your license, 3 ways to take care of it, pay it, forget it, take the points, 2, you have 30 days to sign up for driving school, which will remove the points, or 3, you have 30 days to go to any clerk at the court and set up the court date. I messed that up. I know I said something different because I was flustered with him and I just wanted to get out of there. But I was not rude. I did not raise my voice. I figured he was a First Amendment auditor with the way he was pulling his camera out and he was trying to deflect. And I did not want to engage with him. I just wanted to get out of there. So I gave him his citation, and he said, I need to talk to a supervisor. And I said, my name is here at the bottom. And he had asked me earlier what my name was, and I moved my badge and I pointed to my name tag, and I was like, it's Corporal Krouse. I said, my name is on the bottom. You can contact the sheriff's office if you'd like to make a complaint. And I said, good day. And I looked at Deputy Farrell and I said, we're done here. Like, let's go back to work. We're not going to keep engaging this because now it's over. So I turned and walked away. I think Deputy Farrell talked to him just a couple seconds after me. I think I went inside the terminal then to go use the bathroom. And again, to distance myself from wherever he was going to be. I didn't want this to continue because he's hostile. And when I came out of the bathroom, he was over in the center median with on foot, and his car wasn't there anymore. It was gone. I assume he parked it and then came back because they were going to the aquarium, so I knew he'd be there. So he went over and talked to well, I didn't want him to come back to me again. So after he walked away, I walked out to where that to stay away, and I went and said, hey, are you okay? You have any issues? He's like, no, he just asked me for my badge number. I said, all right, no worries. So then I went back over to the mouth on my side, and he was talking to Deputy Neiman, and he was asking for her name and her badge number. So I was just standing there, and then he looked at me and he said, I'm going to internal affairs on you. You're going down. And I looked over, I said, okay, thank you. He said, no, not thank you. You're a disgrace to the badge and you're going down. This is not neo-Nazi Germany. I didn't say anything then, and he goes, you're a Nazi and you need to go back to Germany, and gave the Hitler salute. And again, and then it dawned on me, he's saying that because my last name is a German last name. I am not German. I have never been to Germany a day in my life. And I'm like, he knows my last name, and that's why he's saying that. Okay. Ignored him. He went off yelling this, and he went back towards the aquarium. Natalie was like, what in the world? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not engaging him anymore. Obviously he's trying to get a rise out of us. We're not saying anything to him. And obviously I talked to Antonitis, and I gave him the whole interaction and what happened. I spoke with Deputy Farrell, because at the end we all go up underneath the overhang under the terminal. So we were up there, and of course they're all like, what is that guy's problem? I'm like, I don't know. I gave him a citation. We're done with it. I don't know if he's going to complain. I don't know, but it's out of our hands now. And Farrell said, well, he was talking to me, and he kept asking me to take him to your car. He kept saying, where's her car at? Let's just go to her car. He's like, I didn't know where your car was at, and I wasn't going to take him to your car. So I just told him to wait there. He said his wife was asking for the keys because she thought he was gonna be taken away. At no time, and I've listened to all those interviews, I never said anything about anybody being arrested, anybody being taken away. Even with his bizarre behavior, I was starting to wonder if he was suffering from a mental illness. And again, I could have put him in for a driver re-exam due to his erratic behavior. I saw he had a moving violation a few months before. This isn't kind of normal stuff for someone his age. But I said no, because he's probably going to complain, and that's going to be petty, and I don't want to look like I'm doing more stuff just to be egregious. So I left it at that. The next morning, it was a Monday morning, I went back to work. I told my sergeant about what happened. I said, hey, this, that, the other. This guy was crazy. I issued him a citation. We were done. He went on asking a whole bunch of questions about my body cam and trying to deflect. I was like, if he calls to complain, here's a heads up. He said, that's fine. I'll do a blue team if he does. And I'm like, perfect. Do a blue team. So here I am all week. I'm expecting that he would have called and complained and we would have heard about it. And I was thinking, wow, I'm surprised. That guy was pretty adamant that he was going to call and complain on me, and we didn't hear anything. So the following weekend, I go out to the port to work, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I see Billy Passmore, and I was like, hey, did you hear about that guy last weekend and all the craziness? And he goes, yeah. I said, well, he didn't call and complain. He said, yes, he did, Desirae. He did call. He said, and I talked to him, and he was very nasty to me. He said, and I even called over to IA to let them know in case they get a call from him, and they were wanting to know how I had heard from him because they had already heard from him multiple times that day. And I thought, oh, God, okay. He said, I don't know what more to do for him. He is not receptive to anything I have to say. I said, okay. That's fine. So I think it was the following, you called me on February 2nd. February 1st, Captain Morris called me from the courthouse and said, hey, I just got a call from some people over at the BOCC. Were you at the BOCC meeting today? I said, no, I wasn't. He said, somebody is over there sandbagging you. They are going off about how horrible you are. It had to do with a venue, some big venue around. I said, was it the port? He said, yes. And I said, okay, this is what happened. In the spiel I just gave you, I laid out, I said, this is a civil traffic infraction. The way for him to handle it is in court, not by going to the BOCC, not by calling all of these places. The person who has the final say-so at the end of the day would be a judge or a magistrate in traffic court. And he said, well, Desirae, it sounds like you've got it handled and you know what needs to be done. I said, other than that, this is stressful, and I'm sure it's causing a lot of people a lot of headaches, but that's all I got, and that's what it is. He said, I just wanted to make sure you were aware. I said, okay. And I almost called you. I almost called down here, and I was like, no, I'm sure they're handling it. They've got it. And then the next morning, you called me.
Thanks for explaining all of that. Let's see. How far away would you say the streetcar was when you told Mr. Pazes to stop the first time?
It was coming. Let's say 20 to 50 feet. It was approaching quickly.
Okay. And do you remember hearing the streetcar whistle or horn, whatever
Yes.
they call it? Okay. And do you remember about when you first heard that?
When it was going probably just past that first crosswalk, like coming to us.
Okay.
We hear this a lot.
Okay. Explained where you were located. Okay, so you said Deputy Neiman and Antonitis were next to you.
Yes.
Do you remember who was directing traffic in the median?
Deputy.
And then you mentioned Farrell and Trey Carton were up closer to the port entrance.
Well, we were all on the port. We were already on the port. They were up by the terminal entrance.
Okay. And just so you know, I did call Deputy Trey Carton in preparation of this. He didn't recall anything about this, so I didn't conduct an interview with him.
That sounds
yeah.
right.
He stated he had absolutely no knowledge of any citation given on that day. So I said, okay. Here we go. Any other deputies to your knowledge that would have witnessed this event that we did not discuss already?
No.
Okay. Do you believe the vehicle would have caused a collision had you not stopped it?
Yes.
Okay. And you kind of mentioned the driver's demeanor. Can you just describe it one more time for me? Like, how was it in the beginning of the interaction? Did it change at all in the middle, towards the end?
Even from the beginning, he looked directly at us and he drove towards us. Like, he wasn't going to stop for us. I truly don't think he saw or heard the trolley coming. And again, he had a car full of people. I don't know what was going on in there. I don't know what happened before. It's very loud down there. There's a lot of cars going on. There's a lot of movement, a lot of people. Deputy Neiman and I, the joke is we're the mouth and they put us in the mouth because we are vocal and we do get people off the tracks and we're very aware of what's going on too. We're not on our phones. We're not distracted. We're watching for these safety reasons. So we were both very loud saying stop. Ask me again where we're going with that. I'm sorry.
That's okay. What his demeanor was like.
Oh, well, and right away I noticed he's looking at me and he's not stopping. He's continuing to come as I'm like telling him stop, and then I had to continue to point to be like, there's a trolley right here, like look and see what I'm talking about. So already like angry, like he was determined to get to where he needed to get to and he wasn't going to stop for me. And then the trolley passed and we engaged with him and we're like, what is going on? Normal person would have been like, I'm sorry, I didn't know, I didn't see, it's no big deal. He immediately started in with, you don't need to be rude. And we're trying to tell him this is a safety issue and there's passengers. And he didn't want to hear any of it. So he right away there was no respect for law enforcement at that point.
Okay.
And I will say it continued with that. And like I said, when I met with him at the car and he said that obstruction was a secondary violation and he had his camera and was wanting to ask about mine, right away, this was right back to First Amendment auditor training. And I figured that's what we were getting into, and I was not gonna escalate this because there was no bringing him down at this point. He had one purpose, and that was to provoke us to violate his rights.
How would you describe your demeanor throughout that interaction?
Matter of fact, the only time I raised my voice was to try to get him to stop. I don't meet energy with energy. If somebody continues to go up, I don't try to go above them. I stay even keel. Again, he had a camera up on my face, so I figured this was going to be recorded and he would try to show that I was acting inappropriately. The whole time I asked for his ID, his driver's license, I didn't raise my voice. I just kept talking. I wasn't mean to him. I'm like, this is borderline obstructing. I've asked you like 5 times now. Can I have your license?
Okay. And you said you're normally even keeled. Would you say that you were even keeled during that interaction?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And would you say your demeanor changed at all from the beginning of the interaction to the time that you were in front of the aquarium with him?
No, it stayed the same.
Okay. And what about when you came back and issued the citation to him?
Yep, just the same.
Okay. Did you interact with any of Mr. Pace's passengers?
I mentioned before I believe it was his wife, Maria. She's the registered owner of the vehicle.
Okay. And other than what you described about her trying to say, we're just trying to get to the party, did you have any other interaction or discussion with her? That was it. Okay. Anyone else in the vehicle?
Only the elderly lady in the back seat. And according to the interviews, there was a third person, I believe, who went by Margaret or Peggy. She may have been in the vehicle because I did see the car was full of passengers. Once we got to the car, I don't remember having any direct contact with her or looking at her. But again, I was trying to just focus on him and keep my eyes on him and where he was at.
And other than what you described about the interaction with the elderly lady, did you say or discuss anything else with her?
No, I didn't see them again.
Okay.
After I got his license and the tag, I had no interaction with them. I went straight back to my car.
Okay.
And when I came back, it was just him, and he was standing behind my car with Deputy Farrell.
Okay. Do you remember how the occupants in the vehicle reacted to the whole
They
situation?
were just going on, getting the lady out, the elderly lady, getting her out. I think she had a walker or a cane because I know they were unloading stuff from the back of the car. But I didn't have a reason to interact with them, so I didn't go over there. But as their interviews state that I was shouting and being angry, that is not accurate.
Okay. Did you notice the reactions of any bystanders?
No, it was business as usual. Cars going by, people going by, going in and out of the terminal, in and out of the aquarium. Saturday at that time it's a busy time up there.
Okay. So at this point, I'm going to address some of the allegations that Mr. Pace has brought forward.
Okay.
Some of them might sound familiar, but I'm going to try and make sure that I cover everything that he brought up in his complaint. Would you say that you were yelling at all throughout the incident?
I raised my voice telling him to stop. After that, no, I didn't have a reason to.
Okay. Did you tell Mr. Paces why you stopped him?
Yes, for violating the right-of-way of the trolley.
Okay. Do you remember when you told him?
I believe when he was saying that I didn't have a primary offense to stop him for.
Okay. And that would have been before you left and wrote the citation and came back. Okay. Did you threaten to arrest Mr. Paces?
No, I said nothing about arresting. I did not touch my handcuffs. I didn't touch anything on my belt. And I also had my jacket on, which I have a long jacket and it covers my belt, my duty belt.
Would you say you have anger issues?
No.
Were you angry that day at all?
No.
Did Mr. Paces make you angry?
No.
Did you refuse to identify yourself to Mr. Paces?
No, I identified myself twice.
Okay. And you mentioned one time he asked your name, you moved your jacket, showed your name tag,
Yes.
and said your name verbally at the
Yes.
same time? Okay, and then the second time was once you had given them the citation and you pointed it out on the
Pointed
citation.
it on the bottom and said my name is here at the bottom.
Okay. How did he react when you told him your name?
He didn't have a reaction.
Mr. Paces wrote, it was quite evident that Krouse was going to cause injury and violence due to her anger, posture, and violent demeanor. What is your response to that statement?
That's not factual either.
Did you purposefully delay the stop?
No, I think I expedited it as quick as I could.
Did you explain the citation instructions and options to Mr. Paces?
I did.
And you mentioned you have a normal spiel that you say.
Yes.
What do you remember actually saying that day?
This is a moving violation. It'll be 3 points on your license, $163 fine. or he said, you have 3 days to take care of this. I had the first option, and then the second option, I said, you have 30 days to sign up for driving school, which can remove the points.
Okay. Do you remember his reaction when you were explaining that to him?
He kept asking about my body cam and wanting a supervisor. He was not receptive or paying attention to the options I was trying to convey to him. He very much so wanted to deflect from the citation being issued. I think in a manner to try to scare me that I'm doing something wrong so that I wouldn't issue him a citation.
Okay. Do you believe you were discourteous during your interactions with Mr. Paces?
No.
And why not?
I didn't demean him. I didn't discuss anything with him other than the traffic violation at hand. I didn't use any profanity. And even when he came back and continued his abusive tirade towards me, I did not react to him.
Do you believe you were unprofessional at all?
No.
And why not?
I believe I showed excellent professionalism, and I did not engage or go down or do anything to be unprofessional. I think I took a lot of abuse from him that day, and I let him say everything he wanted to say to me or about me, and I didn't have any sort of reaction.
Well, you mentioned you told your sergeant about this the Monday after.
I sure did.
Who is your sergeant?
Brandon Hertz.
Okay.
And then I told him too, after he went to the BOCC, I told him about that also.
Okay.
And then when she called me, I didn't tell him another thing about this.
Okay. Would you say you abused your position to retaliate against Mr. Paces?
Absolutely not.
Okay, and why not?
I don't understand where there's a retaliation there. And as I said, if I was going to do something to be petty for the way he acted, I would have added additional charges or put him in for a driver re-exam due to his erratic behavior. I should say erratic behavior or mental illness.
Did you issue Mr. Paces a citation because you were mad at him?
No.
Were you wearing your body camera?
Can we go back to the citation question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I issued him a citation because citations are educational. They're not punitive. And we tried to counsel him verbally, and he was not receptive. That's why he received the citation for the violation. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Were you wearing your body camera?
I was.
And why didn't you turn it on?
Well, when I started working at the port, this is my first season working out there. I started in August. And when I started working out there, I asked Deputy Antonitis, I said, hey, in in-service training last year, we talked about First Amendment auditors. I said, and you were one of the examples in our videos. And there was somebody filming at the port. I said, and I remember you said that they weren't allowed to film at the port. Are we supposed to have our body cams on at the port, or is this considered one of those places where we don't wear body cams? No, you don't wear your camera. Nobody has their cameras on out here. No, we don't wear cameras. I said, okay. He's like, there's no filming allowed out here. And I said, okay, that's what we got. So I'd never turn my camera on out there. We were on port property. If I am wrong, I will fall on the sword all day and I will say I was wrong. But I was told we don't have our cameras on out there. And when I was in investigations, I was a deputy when we got body cameras. They didn't give me one because I was TDY to General Offense Unit. So they didn't give me one then. And then I got promoted to detective. And as you see with my memo, I was working quite a bit of DUI investigations, doing DRE evals, and I was getting called on these cases going, hey, why aren't you wearing a camera? Because I would have to physically have another deputy come out of their zone just to stand there and be my camera. And I asked my captain, can I get a camera? He said, absolutely you can. That's a great reason. And as you see the email chain, what I went through, then I authored a memo and I asked for one and it went over, and they still would not issue me a body camera. I didn't actually get one until I got promoted to corporal, and I went to patrol. So I truly don't know if I'm even supposed to still have a body camera or still wear one or not, because other investigation supervisors say, oh, they're supposed to take those back from you when you go back to investigations. So that's very unclear if we're supposed to wear them or not. Regardless, when I'm not at the port, and I'm sure you can see my past videos in Axon, I do still wear it. I do a lot of traffic grants still, so I wear them on my traffic stops. At Gasparilla, my camera even went off when somebody turned their lights on.
Okay.
So I do wear it, I do use it, and I like it, and I don't want them to take it from me. And this would have been a great example to have the camera on to capture all of this crazy behavior. And I'm sorry if I skipped ahead.
No, it's fine.
To other questions.
It's fine. Okay, so when did you first get your body camera then?
September of 2021.
Okay. And then when you started at the port, it was August of 22?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And was it around August that you had the conversation with Antonitis
Yes.
about the body camera?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. And so you're issued a body camera. You had it on that day, but per your conversation with now Deputy Antonitis, you didn't believe that you were supposed to have it on at
Yes.
the port. Okay, got it.
I'm not here to throw anybody
Sure.
in the grease.
Right.
No one's had theirs on out there.
Okay.
This is my and I'm a supervisor, but this is my first season.
Okay.
I thought nobody's supposed to wear their body camera or have them on.
Okay.
Just so we're clear.
Got it. Did Mr. Pace, well, I think you said that. Did Mr. Paces ask you to turn your body camera on?
He did.
Okay, and why didn't you after he asked you?
Because we're not supposed to have them on. But again, I wasn't going to go into an argument with him either and be led down another path to let his anger intensify.
Okay. All right. Do you remember telling him you didn't have to turn your body camera on because you were on private property?
I don't remember if I said that or not, and it wouldn't have been private property isn't a term that I use. If I said something like that, it would have been federal property or port property.
Okay.
But I don't use the term private property. So that's what I say. But again, I don't know if I gave him an explanation either, because I wasn't this wasn't investigate me day. It was handing out a citation.
Sure. You went through this. Do you remember about how many times Mr. Pace has asked you for a supervisor?
Maybe 3.
And was your response to him always the same throughout? That you...
I told him I was a supervisor, and I told him if he wanted a supervisor, he could call the sheriff's office and give them my name. If I'm wrong, you tell me I'm wrong, but I don't see a reason to call another supervisor out of wherever to come out to the Port of Tampa over a traffic stop that's being handled.
Was there a supervisor assigned to that job that day?
A supervisor or a lead deputy?
Whatever your understanding at that job is, yeah.
For each terminal, there is somebody who is in charge.
Okay.
And it's usually either Jimmy Antonitis, Billy Passmore, or Bob Grant. All are retired deputies who were all supervisors, and they are now reserve deputies. And they have been running these terminals, I believe, since they began having off duty out there. This is my first season. I don't know where all this originated from. If one of them is not there, then they usually have a supervisor who is assigned to the port, such as Corporal Tanner Barnes, Corporal Ryan Krouse. I have not been in charge as a supervisor at any of these ports as of yet.
Okay.
So that's what I have seen. It's either one of the three of them or an actual current supervisor.
Okay.
But like that day would have been Jimmy. Jimmy doesn't have an assigned position. He goes around and makes sure everybody else is doing what they're supposed to, make sure we're getting breaks. He's the one that makes the command for when we take the cones down and open the driveway. He's the command presence in charge.
Okay.
And we all go to him with issues.
I see. Mr. Pace has stated that you were untruthful on your citation by stating, failed to yield to trolley despite multiple law enforcement officers directing him to stop, nearly causing a collision with passengers in the vehicle. What's your response to that?
Well, that's untrue. Last night in court it was proven beyond a reasonable doubt that he did in fact commit that violation.
And for the record, I did listen to the recording that you provided, which was the audio from the traffic court hearing last night, and I did hear as well the judge state it was proven beyond a reasonable doubt, and the citation was upheld.
Yes.
So, in hindsight, would you have done anything differently?
No, I maintain my stance. If we get a clarification on the body cam, if we're allowed to have them on out there, then yes, I would have my body cam on. Other than that, no, I still would have issued a citation. And I wouldn't have engaged with him.
Is there anything that I didn't specifically ask you today that you think I should be aware of?
I don't think so.
All right, so at this point, I'm going to start going through the rule violations that we're here to discuss.
Okay.
So I'm going to hand you the first one. If you can read this entire sheet in its entirety.
Chapter 3, Neglect of Duty Offenses. 3.4.05, Failure to follow SOP, Directive, Sheriff's Order. There's a ×2 on there. I don't know what that means.
That's fine.
Personnel should adhere to its standard operating procedures, Sheriff's Office policies, and directives, and shall faithfully execute all of the duties and responsibilities of their assigned position. Violations subject to a range of penalties from informal discipline to dismissal. Reviewed for 1 of 21.
Okay, and I'll take that from you. So this one, the allegations that we're investigating are 2 counts of this rule, failure to follow SOP. So the first count is going to be regarding this SOP 122.02, which I will hand to you now. If you can start on page 1, just read the highlighted portion there.
Sworn employee misconduct, complaint investigation, suspension, and disciplinary procedures.
Okay, and then if you'll go to page 2 and read the highlighted portion there.
Procedures, complaint receipt and documentation. It is the policy of the Sheriff's Office to take receipt of, document, inquire, or investigate and resolve all concerns and complaints of deputy conduct received from any person, including anyone wishing to remain anonymous. All members of the Sheriff's Office are responsible for receiving and forwarding citizen concerns, complaints of misconduct to the accused deputy supervisor for inquiry and/or investigation.
Okay, and after reading that rule or regulation, do you feel like you were in violation?
No.
And why not?
Because I notified Deputy Antonitis on scene, who was, for better lack of words, the supervisor on scene at the port. And then when I returned to work, I immediately notified my immediate supervisor of this concern.
Okay. I'll go ahead and take that back from you, and
Okay.
I will hand you the second SOP regarding that rule. It's going to be body-worn cameras, if you can read the highlighted portions on the first page.
Gen 502.00, body-worn cameras, BWC.
And on page 2, if you can read those highlighted portions.
Any event where law enforcement deputy acting in their official capacity comes in contact with a member of the general public and the deputy's official authority is invoked, or they take official law enforcement action. This includes, but is not limited to, citizen encounters related to official duties, responding to calls for service, traffic stops, detentions, pursuits, vehicle or foot, investigations, arrest, crashes involving sheriff's office vehicles, deployment of Narcan, and other applicable law enforcement activities. This does not include casual interactions with the public, such as exchanging pleasantries, providing directions, or attending community meetings. Although every incident that may constitute official law enforcement activity cannot be specified herein, deputies are to use their training, experience, and circumstances of each particular situation to determine if their actions involve official law enforcement activity.
Okay, and if you could go to page 4 and read those highlighted sections.
Unless automatically activated, deputies shall be responsible for manually activating the recording of the BWC just prior to a call, while operating a sheriff's office vehicle with emergency equipment activated, while conducting vehicle escorts assigned via the off-duty section, or prior to the start of any official law enforcement activity. During an official law enforcement activity, if a deputy fails to activate the BWC or fails to record the entire event, the deputy shall notify their supervisor as soon as practical and document their actions by adding a note in the CAT.
Okay, and after reading that rule or regulation, do you feel like you were in violation?
I don't feel like I'm in violation.
Okay, and why not?
Because I was told not to have my camera on out there. And I have always had my camera on anywhere else where I'm supposed to have my camera on. But if I'm wrong, I'll take it.
Okay, I'm going to hand you the next one. You can read this sheet out loud, please.
Chapter 4, Improper Conduct Offenses. 4.1.02, Discourtesy. Sheriff's Office personnel shall be polite and courteous in contacts with the public and with other Sheriff's Office personnel. Violation subject up to 1 day suspension. Revised 4.1 of 21.
Okay, and after reading that rule or regulation, do you feel like you were in violation?
No.
And why not?
I didn't do anything discourteous. I didn't use profanity. I didn't do any name calling. I didn't do anything more than my job. And I acted in a professional manner.
Okay, and I'm going to hand you the last one, if you can read that one aloud.
Chapter 4, Improper Conduct Offenses. 4.8.04, Falsification of Official Documents. Sheriff's Office personnel shall not falsify or cause another to falsify any official record or document. Violation subject to dismissal. Reviewed 4.1 of 21.
Okay, and after reading this rule or regulation, do you feel like you were in violation?
No.
And why not?
I didn't falsify any documents.
Okay, so I don't have anything to do with any discipline that may or may not come from this case. My job is just to collect and report the facts that have come out through the investigation. At this time, I'd like to give you the opportunity to say anything else that you'd like anyone listening to this interview to hear. Absolutely.
Actually, I do. And I know you got to hear the recording from traffic court last night. It appears this subject, Mr. Pezos, does not like women. I was already leaning towards that with how he treated me on scene. And then after listening to his interviews with how he talks about how all the male deputies were great, he never once said the other female deputy was great, and she didn't do anything to upset him. And then last night in court, he was very derogatory towards myself, but he was not nice to Deputy Neiman, but he was very friendly with Deputy Antonitis. And he made it clear that they both had Greek last names. And he hit on the race card real quick with them that they were both Greek. But at the beginning of the hearing, I introduced myself as Corporal Krouse. He then referred to me as Officer Krouse. And I explained to him it's Corporal Krouse. And he said, well, you're all just officers to me. And then at other points during the hearing, he referred to me as that lady. I don't know if he has a history of this, or if this was his problem, or if it was, and I've been a female in law enforcement for 17 years, and a lot of men do not like women telling them what to do. And I wonder if it was a male deputy that was issuing the citation, as he's had in previous encounters, if he would have had a problem with them.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. The time is now 1:14 p.m. I'll conclude our interview.